Welcome to the Empowered Empath, y'all. I am so fucking excited to have you here. I am so stoked to be able to talk about these expansive ideas into a microphone that you want to listen to and apply these concepts that are both simple, but they're also profound into your life. And I say that they're simple because they are. They're like a remembering. It's like kind of like these are like duh moments, right? These are like, oh yeah, that's yes, that aligns. And they're profound just because they're not mainstream yet. They're getting there. I can totally see it getting there. And I just want to be part of the wave of bringing these concepts of transformation, which is kind of like a big T word, but really alchemy, energetic, emotional alchemy to um, every fucking human that I touch and that I meet because um, it's changed my life. It changes the lives of my clients. And these ripple effects, these waves, mean something. Every single time that you transmute an emotion in your life, it means something. Please don't ever forget that. Please, no, not don't ever forget that. If you forget that, write it, write it on a post-it somewhere. Put it as a note on your phone. Every time you transmute an emotion, you are making a difference because you are changing the one corner of the universe that you actually have power and agency, quote unquote, over, and that is your own life. And your own life is huge. It makes waves and ripple effects in the lives of the other people that you touch. So this is going to sound a little weird, but it's true. I'm proud of you. I truly am. And I'm saying that as a gift that I hope that you give to yourself. Every time you transmute an emotion, I hope you say, I am proud of myself. But that's not what we're talking about today. Well, kind of. We're always talking about emotion over here at the Empowered Empath, but today we are talking about overthinking. Um, Also, I need to introduce myself. My name is Jess Bushnell. I am an intuitive coach. I'm a timeline jumper, timeline jumping tour guide. There are a couple different ways to work with me. I've got a 6 week experience, and I also have a one timeline jumping session that you can book with me, and I'll put those links in the show notes. But okay, let's get into it. Overthinking. Overthinking is a defense mechanism. It's a defense mechanism that we use when we don't want to feel. I'm going to say that again because I think it's really potent. We use overthinking as a defense mechanism when we do not want to have the somatic experience that is happening in our body. We don't want to have maybe it's a physical pain experience. And more often than not, it is the experience of an emotional wave, a vibration that goes through our body. And because most of us were not taught how to hold space for an emotion to pass through us, we don't know how to be with it. And when we don't know how to be with a challenging vibration, aka a challenging emotion, aka a negative emotion, that's very subjective, I know, but you get the picture. When we don't know how to be with that, we find ways to escape it, which is ironic, right? Because we can't escape something that's inside of us, but we kind of can. But it doesn't last forever. We can escape it for now, but it always comes back. So the way to, what I want to say is permanently escape it, but I genuinely don't mean that, but that's just what came through my head. it's, it's, it's transmutation. It's to alchemize. It's to alchemize emotion. And in order to alchemize emotion or to transmute emotion, we first have to be with it. Ironically, that's how we transform it. Ironically, that's how we grow and change and transform, is we be with the very thing that we don't want to experience. But we don't be with it in a way that perpetuates it. We don't be with it in a way that's jacking it off. We be with it as the compassionate witness. We be with it as the watcher with a capital W. We are present with it, like we're watching. If we were an instrument, if we were a guitar and someone were to come and strum on one of the strings, we are the guitar watching the vibration of that string reverberate through us. And if we don't keep strumming on that string with thoughts, with creating a story out of that emotion, then the string stops moving and and then that emotion gets the chance to be processed through or alchemized. So taking this concept, moving it into overthinking, our world is a fucking sea of overthinking, y'all. Have you noticed? We live in a culture of overthinkers. We live in a world that prioritizes. My alarm just went off, but my recording paused. So here we go. I'm talking about overthinking in a culture that prioritizes the intellect above all else. So if we're going to be prioritizing anything, it's going to be off balance. We have to bring what we love into balance with the other aspects of our system. So the intellect is an amazing aspect of our system. But when we prioritize it above all else, it throws other systems out of whack, such as the emotional system. So here's what I want you to play with this week. Watch your brain. In those little moments, y'all. It's the little moments. I mean, coaching sessions are some of my favorite experiences in the world. Coaching others, being coached, so much alchemy happens in those moments. But those are the big, bright moments, right? Those are like the moments when you're on stage. Like, picture yourself as like a theater actor, and you go on stage and you perform this whole thing for the audience, and you're feeling all the feels, and the bright lights are on you, and it feels so big. But if you pause the tape for a second and remember how much work it took to get to that spot. I mean, all the lines that you had to memorize, the costumes you had to maybe make and find and fit and create, the acting coaches that you worked with, the late nights, all of that stuff, right? So coaching sessions are amazing for aha moments. But the real shifts happen in your daily life. So I invite you to take this opportunity right now for this next week until the next episode of your favorite podcast, The Empowered Empath, comes out next week. Play with this. Play with overthinking. Make it a fun game. Make it like a drinking game for your mind. But instead of drinking, like taking a shot of alcohol, you're going to take a shot of transmutation. Every time you do this, you are pushing the needle further and further into you as a, this is what just came through and it feels corny, but I'm going to say it, cosmic explorer. Because that is what you are. You are a cosmic event. We are cosmic events. We are part of this huge entity just traveling through space and time. And everything you do, it means something. So when you wake up in that moment of overthinking, oh, here, this is the quote I wanted to share. Remember that song Sunscreen from like the 90s? It wasn't really a song, it was a guy sharing a uh like a graduation speech. Anyway, in that song, you could YouTube it. I forget who is the artist of it. Anyway, it's called Sunscreen, and in it he says, um, worrying worrying is like trying to solve a math problem by chewing bubble gum. It's the same thing for overthinking. When there's something, it's a sign that you're worried about something, and it's a sign that there's an emotion that wants to be felt, processed through, transmuted through your body. And from that spot, from that transmutation, then take the action. Because what happens when you take action from that place of overthinking? Do you notice that the breath in your chest gets tight? Do you notice that your energy doesn't flow as much? Do you notice that the thoughts that your brain offers are anxious? So if you were to flip that over, if you were to pause and be with that moment and breathe into that tight spot in your body and watch that vibration, let your mind go, because it's not your mind's job to be here right now. It's time to feel. And if you can do this while you're in a conversation with somebody. First, practice it on yourself, on your own. You can go back to episode 1. I walk you through that at the end of episode 1. Because once you get good at this, you can do it right in the middle of a conversation with somebody. So that you're not driving your life with only your intellect. You are driving your life with your intellect and your emotional body. And that is powerful. That is how you stay sensitive and receptive to the universe in a loud, materialistic, colonized world. In order for us to shift things, we have to be able to receive information from the nuances that we feel. And in order to receive that information, the wisdom from those nuances, we have to first be able to transmute what's quote unquote in the way. And what's in the way is overwhelm, anxiety, fear. And then our brain goes, red alert, uncomfortable emotion alert. We got fear on the docks. Let's start trying to solve it with our brains. Let's start chewing some bubblegum to fix this math equation. But we know the only way to do a math equation is to actually do the math. And we know the only way to allow an emotion to process through us is to feel it. So overthinking isn't a problem to be solved on the level of the mind. Overthinking is a problem to be solved on the level of the soma, the body. Overthinking is just simply finding a sticky spot that you're not willing to feel, transmuting it. It takes about 90 seconds. If you're feeling an emotion for longer than 90 seconds, all it means is you're looping it with your mind, with a thought. So go transmute some emotion this week. Do it in all the little ways too. Like that's where really like the power is. Like when you're in the shower and you start thinking about your day and your brain starts overthinking, go, aha, I see you, little overthinking. We're going to do the drinking game of transmutation. Pause. Is there anything I can do about it right now? No. Do I have the capacity for it right now? No. okay, I'm going to drop back in my body. I'm going to feel, I'm going to allow whatever the emotion is to move through. I'm going to show up for my life right now. I'm going to show up for my life right now. And I'm going to let myself meet what needs to be done when I meet it. Overthinking is not going to solve the problem for right now. Your mind might try to convince you that overthinking will solve the problem, but it won't. It's like chewing bubblegum to solve a math equation. It's like a cow chewing its cud. It's just a defense mechanism. And when you see it as that, all of a sudden, your heart softens and you feel so much compassion for yourself and for the mind that is just trying to do a service. You've trained it to do this, to protect you in the past. And now it's time to let it go so you can reach new heights of emotional intelligence in your life. I think that's where we're going to leave it today. There's so much more to say on this topic. I'm not going to overthink it though. I'll come back and speak on it another time. But it was so good to pop on and say hi to y'all this week. Let me know how your transmutation goes. I would truly love to hear. All right. See you next week. Empowered empaths, empowered sensitive folks. Let's change the world. Love you. Goodbye.